You ever notice how your savings account feels like it's basically doing nothing? Like you check it every few months, and yeah, the number goes up a tiny bit. Maybe you're earning, I don't know, 0.5%, maybe 1% if you're lucky, but it doesn't feel like it's growing. And then you go to the grocery store, or you pay your rent, or you fill up your gas tank, and you're like, wait, didn't this cost way less last year? And suddenly, that tiny interest you're earning feels like a joke. It's like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly speeding up, and no matter how hard you work, you're just trying not to fall off. Here's the thing though, that feeling isn't random. It's not bad luck, and it's not just the economy. There's actually a name for what's happening to your money. And honestly, once you understand it, you start seeing it everywhere. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial systems, and why it feels like the rules of wealth building keep changing underneath us. And what I want to talk about today is this concept called financial repression, which sounds super technical and boring, I know, but stay with me, because this is one of those things that once you get it, completely reframes how you think about saving, investing, and building wealth in the modern world. Because here's what most people don't realize: the system is quietly designed to make your cash lose value over time, not in a dramatic, scary crash kind of way, but slowly, steadily, almost invisibly. And if you don't understand how that works, you're basically playing a game where the rules are rigged against you. But if you do understand it, you can actually start making decisions that protect your wealth, grow it, and stop feeling like you're always one step behind. So let's talk about what financial repression actually is, why governments use it, and most importantly, what it means for you and your money. Okay, so first things first, what even is financial repression? At its core, financial repression is when governments create policies that keep interest rates artificially low, like lower than they would naturally be in a free market. And the reason they do this is pretty straightforward. It helps them manage their debt. Think about it. If you're a government and you owe trillions of dollars, you want to pay as little interest as possible on that debt, right? So you keep rates low. You make borrowing cheap for yourself. But here's the catch, and this is where it gets interesting. When interest rates are kept artificially low, it doesn't just help the government, it quietly punishes savers. Because if inflation is, say, 3 or 4%, and your savings account is earning 1%, you're actually losing purchasing power every single year. Your money is worth less and less, even though the number in your account might be going up. It's like, imagine you have a bucket of water and every day someone takes a cup out, but they also pour half a cup back in. Technically, the bucket is getting emptied, but it's happening so slowly that you barely notice until one day you look down and you're like, wait, where did all my water go? That's financial repression. It's a slow, invisible transfer of wealth from savers to borrowers. And the biggest borrower, of course, is the government. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but why would the government do this? Isn't that kind of unfair? And yeah, honestly, it is a little unfair. But from the government's perspective, it's a necessary trade-off. Let me explain. After big economic crises like, say, the 2008 financial crash or the COVID-19 pandemic, governments often end up with massive amounts of debt. They borrow to stabilize the economy, fund stimulus programs, keep businesses alive, whatever. And all that borrowing adds up. So now they're sitting on this enormous debt burden, and they have to figure out how to manage it without causing a total economic meltdown. One option is to raise taxes, but that's super unpopular, right? Nobody wants to pay more taxes. Another option is to cut government spending. Also unpopular and also kind of risky during a recovery because you don't want to pull the rug out from under the economy. So what do they do instead? They use financial repression. They keep interest rates low, which makes it cheaper for them to service their debt. And they let inflation run a little hotter than usual, which erodes the real value of that debt over time. It's basically a stealth tax on savers.
And the wild part is, most people don't even realize it's happening because it's not like there's a big announcement that says, hey, we're going to quietly make your money worth less every year. It just happens, slowly, quietly, in the background. Here's where this starts to affect you personally. Let's say you're trying to do the responsible thing. You've got some money in a savings account, maybe you're building an emergency fund or saving up for a down payment on a house, or just trying to be smart and not blow all your cash. You've been told your whole life, save money, don't spend it all, be responsible. But under financial repression, that strategy actually hurts you, because if your savings are earning 1% and inflation is 4%, you're losing 3% of your purchasing power every year. That $10,000 in your savings account, in 5 years, it might still say $10,000, but in terms of what it can actually buy, it's worth way less. And this is where people start to feel stuck. They're doing everything right. They're saving, they're budgeting, they're not racking up credit card debt, but they still feel like they're falling behind. Because they are falling behind. The invisible hand of financial repression is slowly eroding their wealth. So, what are you supposed to do? Well, this is where the mindset shift happens. You have to stop thinking of cash as a safe place to store wealth long term. Cash is great for short-term needs, your emergency fund, your monthly expenses, stuff you might need in the next year or two. But for anything beyond that, you need to get your money into assets that can outpace inflation. Stocks, real estate, even certain commodities. These are the kinds of things that historically hold their value or grow when inflation is running hot. Because here's the thing, financial repression doesn't hurt everyone equally. It hurts savers, but it actually helps people who own assets. If you own a house and inflation goes up, the value of that house tends to go up too. If you own stocks in solid companies, those companies can often raise prices to keep up with inflation, which means their stock prices rise. So the people who understand financial repression, they're moving their money out of cash and into assets. They're protecting themselves. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Nick, I don't have a ton of money to invest. I'm just trying to get by. And I get that. I really do. This isn't one of those just buy 3 rental properties situations. But here's the thing. Even small moves matter. Even if you can only invest a little bit each month, that's still better than letting all your money sit in a savings account losing value. You could open a brokerage account and start putting money into a low-cost index fund. You could look into Series I bonds, which are designed to keep up with inflation. Or you could even start learning about other asset classes, maybe real estate investment REITs, maybe a little bit of gold, I don't know. The point is, you're taking action to protect your purchasing power, because the truth is, financial repression is not going away anytime soon. Governments around the world are sitting on huge debt loads, and they're going to keep using this playbook to manage it, which means if you're not adapting your strategy, you're going to keep feeling that treadmill speed up underneath you. Let me give you one more way to think about this. Imagine you're at a poker table, right? And you slowly start to realize that the dealer is taking a tiny chip from your stack. Not enough that you notice right away, but over time your stack is shrinking, even though you're playing well. Meanwhile, the players who figured it out early, they adjusted. They started betting differently, protecting their chips, finding ways to grow their stack faster than the dealer could take it. That's basically what's happening with financial repression. The dealer is the government, the chips are your purchasing power, and the only way to win is to adapt. So here's the bottom line. Financial repression is real. It's happening right now, and it's quietly transferring wealth from people who hold cash to people who own assets, and to governments trying to manage their debt. It's not evil, exactly. It's just the way the system works when debt gets out of control. But that doesn't mean you have to be a victim of it. The key is awareness. Once you understand what's happening, you can make smarter choices. You can stop keeping all your money in a savings account earning nothing. You can start thinking about how to protect and grow your wealth in an environment where inflation is running hotter than interest rates. And look, I'm not saying you need to become a Wall Street genius overnight. You don't need to quit your job and become a day trader, but you do need to start thinking differently about money. You need to see it not as something to hoard in a bank account, but as something to put to work, whether that's in stocks, real estate, your own education, whatever, because the world has changed. The old rules, save your money, keep it safe, earn a little interest, those don't work anymore, not in a world of financial repression. The new rules are about staying ahead of inflation, owning assets, and being intentional with where you put your money. And the beautiful thing is, once you start making those shifts, you stop feeling like you're on that treadmill. You start feeling like you're actually moving forward, like you're building something real. So take a minute today, look at where your money is. Ask yourself, is this working for me, or is it slowly losing value? And if it's the latter, start making a plan to change that, because you deserve to build wealth. You deserve to feel like your hard work is actually paying off. And you can, once you understand the game and start playing it smart.